The largest wildfire in Nebraska history is still burning with zero containment, while the same storm system is burying the Great Lakes under a historic blizzard, and its next phase is heading for the East Coast. More than 600,000 acres burned across western and central Nebraska since Thursday. The Morrill Fire alone, 460,000 acres across 4 counties. 0% contained, 1 person dead, at least 12 structures destroyed. The Cottonwood Fire, 100,000 acres. The Road 203 Fire, 40,000 acres in the Nebraska National Forest. All 0% contained. Across the upper Midwest, 2,000 flights canceled in a single day, more than 11,000 delays and cancellations total. The NWS called it a historic March blizzard with one of the broadest blizzard warning footprints in years. Governor Jim Pillen declared a state of emergency Friday, so mobilized the Nebraska National Guard, deployed Blackhawk helicopters, activated road graders for firebreaks, and imposed a statewide burn ban through March 27th. But here is the detail that tells the real story. On Saturday morning at the Keith County Fairgrounds in Ogallala, Governor Pillen stood before federal, state, county, and local officials and said one name: Rose White. She was a grandmother. She died in Arthur County, trying to get away from the Morrill Fire as it raced across the prairie. The governor would not go into the specifics. He said 5 words: hurts a little bit, but a grandma that was trying to get away. The Morrill Fire started from an electrical fault caused by high winds on Thursday afternoon. It traveled more than 65 miles in approximately 6 hours. By the time Rose White needed to leave, the fire had already outrun the landscape. She did not make it. Pillen told reporters afterward, "Everything else can be rebuilt. I think it's important all Nebraskans pray because the circumstances have not changed." Rose White is the artifact. One grandmother, one fire, one state that could not get her out in time. And the circumstances had not changed. To understand how Nebraska arrived here, watch the timeline accelerate. On Thursday, March 12th, multiple grass fires broke out across Nebraska in the afternoon. High winds and critically low humidity turned dry prairie into fuel. Road closures and evacuations began in Lancaster, Gage, Seward, Fillmore, Saline, and Jefferson counties. By 9 p.m., Dawson County Emergency Management relayed an immediate evacuation for the town of Farnham as shifting winds threatened to push fire south toward homes. On Friday, March 13th, the scale became clear. Governor Pillen declared an emergency, saying the state had received 24 wildfire reports in 24 hours. He activated the National Guard, deployed aircraft, road graders, and a complex incident management team. The Morrill Fire had already exploded overnight, 330,000 acres across 4 counties before dawn. Across the broader storm system, more than 1 million homes and businesses lost power in the Midwest and Mid-Atlantic, with Ohio hardest hit. A red flag warning was issued through Saturday for critical fire weather. By Saturday, March 14th, Pillen confirmed 600,000 acres burned statewide. The Morrill Fire alone had consumed 460,000 acres. Rose White was dead. The Cottonwood Fire forced the evacuation of at least 300 people near Brady, with Brady School opened as a shelter. Lewellen and areas around Lake McConaughy were under evacuation orders. At the Saturday briefing, Keystone-Lemoyne Fire Chief Ralph Moul said his crews were cutting control lines to protect around 1,000 homes near the lake. Then he said, "I've got a bad feeling about tomorrow. I don't think it's going to be good." And then it got worse. This is not 3 separate disasters. It is one cyclone doing different things in different sectors. A bomb cyclone, dropping more than 24 millibars in 24 hours, formed over Wyoming on Saturday, deepened across the northern plains on Sunday, and pushed into the Great Lakes by Monday. North and west of the low, cold air, wraparound moisture, blizzard. South and east, a strong cold front setting up severe thunderstorms, damaging winds, and tornadoes. And in Nebraska, The earlier phase, high winds, low humidity, bone-dry fuel, ignited and spread grass fires before the colder side of the storm wrapped in. The Morrill Fire started from an electrical fault during high winds. Gusts above 50 miles per hour drove the fire more than 65 miles in 6 hours across open prairie. Critically low humidity. Temperatures near 80 degrees in western Nebraska in mid-March. The grass was cured and dry. And the same winds that spread the fires were forecast to keep firefighting aircraft grounded. The storm that started the fires was also defeating the response. Here is the problem that is not making headlines. While Nebraska burned, the blizzard side of the same system was burying the upper Midwest. NWS Marquette warned of 1 to 3 feet of snow in upper Michigan, with potential for 4 feet in higher terrain. Wind gusts to 60 miles per hour. Snowfall rates of 1 to 3 inches per hour. Travel described as dangerous to impossible. Blizzard conditions persisted for nearly 12 hours at Sawyer International Airport. More than 210,000 utility customers were still without power across 6 Great Lakes states on Sunday, and the storm was not done. By Monday, the Storm Prediction Center issued a moderate risk for parts of Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, and adjacent South Carolina. NWS Raleigh briefed a 15 to 29% tornado probability and a 60 to 74% probability of widespread damaging winds, some exceeding 74 miles per hour. Storm motions of 60 miles per hour or faster, reducing reaction time to minutes. And schools in Raleigh and Chapel Hill closed Monday. Governor Josh Stein of North Carolina urged residents to enable emergency alerts on their phones. One system, 3 disasters, the fire phase, the snow phase, and the wind phase, each one historic on its own. And this is where it gets worse. Rose White was trying to get away. The Morrill Fire was moving at a speed that outran evacuation timelines, 65 miles in 6 hours across open prairie. She did not make it. Governor Pillen confirmed her death Saturday. He would not give details. 1 death in 600,000 acres. But she had a name, and the governor said it out loud, because 1 death in a fire that large means someone was too close when it moved too fast. Chelle Ladely lives in Sidney, east of the Morrill Fire Zone. She told reporters the smoke was filling the air and that at night she could see the fires burning on the horizon. Not a glow, a line. She described local farmers and businesses pulling together, water trucks, food, supplies, all of it being driven to volunteer firefighters working the lines with no containment. That is the image of this disaster. A community feeding its own firefighters while the fire behind them remains at 0%. Ralph Moul, chief of Keystone-Lemoyne Fire and Rescue, was at the Saturday briefing near Lake McConaughy. His crews were cutting control lines, bare mineral soil trenched by road graders and bulldozers, to protect roughly 1,000 homes near the lake. He said the lines were their best chance. Then he said what no official wants to say on camera. I've got a bad feeling about tomorrow. And I don't think it's going to be good. Sunday's forecast called for gusts above 50 miles per hour. The aircraft that could help were expected to stay grounded. In Michigan's Upper Peninsula, Jim Allen told AP his family had stocked up and was prepared to hunker down for days. The NWS described travel as dangerous to impossible. Allen was not panicking. He was planning for a siege, 1 storm, a grandmother dead in Nebraska, a fire chief bracing for worse, a family in Michigan sealing the doors, and an entire eastern seaboard that had not been hit yet. As of Sunday, all 3 major Nebraska fires remained at 0% containment. Winds above 50 miles per hour were expected to keep firefighting aircraft grounded. The blizzard was still producing whiteout conditions from Nebraska to Michigan Monday morning. And the eastern severe weather phase was active. SPC's moderate risk for the Mid-Atlantic and Carolinas was in effect, with potential for strong, long-track tornadoes and winds exceeding 74 miles per hour. Fresh containment figures had not been provided in the latest Sunday federal fire update. Acreage may still move. In Michigan, NWS Marquette warned of prolonged recovery, dangerous to impossible travel, and outages lasting days. On the East Coast, The severe line was forecast to sweep from the Carolinas into Virginia and Maryland Monday afternoon. Behind the storm, Arctic air was surging south. Afternoon highs dropping into the teens across the Midwest by Tuesday. Wind chills near or below zero in Minneapolis and Green Bay. The warmth that dried the prairie and fed the fires was gone. What replaced it was a blizzard that would not stop and a cold front that was still accelerating east. How do you tell the family of Rose White, a grandmother who died trying to outrun a fire that traveled 65 miles in 6 hours, that the same storm system that killed her is now burying the Great Lakes and aiming tornadoes at the East Coast, and no one has contained a single one of the fires she died in? How do you tell 1,000 homeowners near Lake McConaughy that a fire chief said he had a bad feeling about tomorrow, and tomorrow's winds are forecast above 50 miles per hour, and the aircraft that could help are grounded by the same wind? If one cyclone can simultaneously burn 600,000 acres, bury 7 states in snow, ground 11,000 flights, and set up a tornado threat 1,500 miles away, and the fires are still at 0% contained, what happens when the next system arrives? Rose White was a grandmother in Arthur County. She died trying to get away. The Morrill Fire that killed her is the largest wildfire in Nebraska history, 0% contained. The governor said her name in Ogallala on Saturday. Everything else can be rebuilt. Rose White cannot.